Hello, and welcome to the ScrapbookPal's YouTube channel. My name is Terry, and I am here today to share a fun Halloween card using the new Lawn Fawn Fangtastic stamp sets. So let's get started. So here is a close-up look at the stamp set, and I just adore this stamp set. I will also be using the coordinating dies to cut out the images. So to start off my card project, I am going in with white cardstock. This cardstock is an alcohol-friendly cardstock since I will be using Copic markers to color in all the images. So what I'm doing here is I'm just placing it on my stamping platform, and I will go in with a black ink. And the black ink is also Copic marker friendly. And I like using Memento black ink because it's fast drying and it doesn't smear. So that's my go-to ink pad when I'm working with Copic markers. And I did went ahead and stamp the images down twice just to make sure that I got a good impression. Okay, and once all of the images were stamped out, it's time for coloring. And like I mentioned earlier, today's card I am going in with Copic markers, and I love using Copic markers because they're so easy to blend. I am going in with a few shades of warm grays, and I started out with a lighter shade. So here I'm going in with W1, and I like coloring all of the images first using a lighter shade, then going in with the darker shade, creating shadows, and using the mid-tone to blend it out. And sometimes when I feel like it's not dark enough, I go in with an even darker shade and add a little more shadow and contrast to the image. So you could see here that I am using W4, and I'm using W4 as the mid-tone. Then going in with W7 to create darker shadows onto the images. And I will be going back and forth. So going with my lighter shade, my mid-tone, and then my dark tone, just to blend it all out and create a nice even blend. And I went ahead and did the same coloring process to all of the little critters on this cardstock. So for the tree branches and the leaves, I just kept that pretty simple. I just went in with brown shades as well as green shades. And the cute little spider, I just made him black as well. Okay, so let's talk about the background scene. I wanted to make a night sky with a glowing moon in the background. And I know sometimes we don't have a lot of supplies, and there's a lot of moon stencils out now, and I wanted to show you guys an alternative or a different way to create that with using the basic supplies that you have on hand. So to create the moon here, you're going to need masking paper as well as a basic circle die. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and cut the circle die out of the masking paper. So what you're going to end up with is two pieces. So you're going to end up with a negative piece as well as a positive piece. So first we're going to use the positive piece, so the inside of the circle. We're going to place it onto the cardstock. So what I'm doing here is I'm masking off the area for my moon. So anything underneath this masking paper will not get any ink blended onto it. So here I'm going in with my first shade of ink, and I'm using my blending brush to blend around the circle. Okay, so now I am going in with a secondary color, and I am using a purple shade here, and I'm just blending that around my cardstock. And for the third shade, I'm going in with a dark blue shade, and I'm just blending that throughout the card panel, making sure to go back and forth in between the colors to blend out the different colors together. And after I was happy with the blended areas, I went ahead and removed the masking moon off of the cardstock and then placed the negative masking paper over the moon. So what we're going to do here is we're going to ink blend the moon instead of the sky. So I'm going in with some gray shades here, and I'm just inking it softly around the circle frame. Then going back with my brush, I'm just taking the leftover ink that was on top of the ink and rubbing that around the circle area, just to blend out the edges a little more. Okay, and to add a little more interest to the background scene, I went ahead and splattered clean water onto my card panel. So now it's time to assemble everything together. Off screen, I went ahead and die cut 2 frames out of black cardstock, and I layered that on top of one another. But before I added that onto my card panel, I wanted to go ahead and adhere all of the little pieces onto my card panel. So going in with liquid adhesive, I started gluing all of the tree branches along with the bats. Then going in with the frame die, I would use liquid adhesive and adhere that on top of the card panel. For the remaining 2 bats, I went in and used foam squares and popped them onto the card panel. Now going in with a white gel pen, I like to add details and highlights throughout my card image. Okay, so for the sentiment, I am going in with another Lawn Fawn stamp set, and this one is called Open Me. And I'm using the wooden sign on the stamp set. So I place that on my acrylic block, and I'm going in with the same inks that I used earlier. This one is the Memento in Tuxedo Black, and I stamped that onto white cardstock. So now for the sentiment, I'm going in with a sentiment from the Fangtastic stamp set, and unfortunately the stamp set is quite long to fit onto my wooden sign. So what I like to do is I like to mask off one side of the sentiment and then ink up the other side. But before I stamp it down onto my cardstock, I want to remove the masking paper. Then I went ahead and repeated the process to the other side of the sentiment. So I went ahead and mask, I ink, and then I remove the mask, and that's when I'll stamp that onto my cardstock. Okay, so I just went in with a few colors of Copic markers, and I did pretty simple coloring on the wooden sign. I went in with a few brown shades as well as warm grays. And after I was finished coloring, I went in with the coordinating dies and ran that through my die cutting machine. So now I'm just trying to figure out the placement on my card panel. And once I decided on a placement, I went ahead and snipped off a little piece of the wooden sign. And I'm going in with liquid adhesive. And I went ahead and adhered that to the card panel. Okay, and to finish off the card panel, I adhered it to a gray colored cardstock. And I adhered the gray colored cardstock onto a top folding card base in white. And that's it. That completes the card. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and please don't forget to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And I would love it if you came on over to visit me on my YouTube channel or my Instagram account at Cloudy Coral Designs. Okay, until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.